It's the grind. It's the grind.
G'day, team. Well, what a fucking awful 10 days it's been on the punt for me personally. I haven't won one day for the last 10 days. Particularly the Golden Bullets have been just awful. My confidence has not been lost at all, I got to say. I'm keeping on grinding away. And I want to just go through a lot of the results with you, a lot of the analysis with you, and I want to talk about the way that I think about things. So what I'm doing here is I'm opening the doors every week. I'm going to be doing a show on a Monday which goes through the analysis and the way that I go about my things. It doesn't have to be the way that you go about yours, but what I'm doing is I'm opening up my whole form suite. I'm opening up my whole way of thinking to everybody so that they can see the life of a professional punter. There's no sugarcoating anything here. If we've had a good week, we'll talk about it. If we've had a bad week, we'll also talk about that because we've got to deal with losses and we've got to deal with good runs as well. So it's not always losses. It's not always good runs. There's everything in between as well. So this is the life of a professional punter. There are big downturns. There are big upswings as well. So I've bet for over 9,000 days in my life. So I've seen a lot. I've seen a lot of low periods. I've seen a lot of high periods. I had a message on the Wolfden app from a 18-year-old who was asking me about what if I was looking back at my 18-year-old self, what lessons have I learned sort of in those 25 years of punting? And I picked up the phone and had a chat to him for 15 minutes, and it got me thinking a lot about what I had learned, because I don't not that I don't think I've made mistakes along the way. Of course I do. I make mistakes every single day. Backing losers and doing things wrong, but I don't view them as mistakes. I view them as learnings of just getting better. My whole life is about getting constantly better. And so when I do make mistakes, or I do have losing days, or I do have bad losing periods, I'm constantly, I'm aware of them, but I'm looking forward. I'm always trying to improve. Even when I'm winning, I'm always trying to improve. So the screen that you're looking at the moment is the overall result. So this is the back testing from 2023 that was done for this model. And you can see there that there's a profit of 13.5% best of the best. 2023 had a profit of 14.7%. 2024, 11.4%. And 2025, this is, we'll go through month by month because I want to show you the upswings and also the downswings as well. A profit of 15%, which is actually the highest so far. So the last 2 weeks haven't got in, although it's early into July. Let's have a look anyway. So best tote, that's without an SP, just plonk best tote, 3.3%. And top fluck, if we cruise along here, you can see an 8.7%. So that's the back testing. So this is giving me confidence. I know that there's a lot of samples there. There's 19,600 historical bets that have been simulated before I started betting off this model. I've been betting off this model for the last 3 months. I've won the 3 months prior to July. Obviously, July's been awful. Let's have a look and just have a look what we're dealing with swings-wise. So this is 2023. We had an end result profit, 14.7% profit off 7,691 bets. You can see there by month, January started plus 22%. This is best of the best. I always take 5% off from what I think I'm going to do. So April, there's no losing months there, which is pretty unusual. April plus 2%, I take 5% off that. So that'd be a loss for me probably on the month of about minus 3%. Let's have a look at 2024. If we cruise along here to 2024, we've got an 11.4% profit, best of the best. But we can see in here there's 2 losing months. August minus 6.8%. And also March at about, say, minus 6% here. So if you take 5 off that, we're looking at about minus 11, minus 12% for the month. So there are losing months in that 2024 calendar year. You can see the good months there, 17, 21, 17, 27 in June. So you can see there are swings. It's not all there's 680 bets roughly every month. This is off the official tips, this is what I bet off the official tips. Doesn't mean you have to bet off the official tips. All this is about is showing you exactly what I do and what goes on in here. Then we go to 2025, which obviously this year. Now, July, this is updated after the first week of July. So the second week of July and the third week of July haven't gone in yet. As you can see there, July started very poorly and it's got even worse. This is a particularly bad year. I can't believe how bad this makes me laugh. I can't believe how bad this actual month is when you look at the other results. But it will come round. Nothing makes me sure that this will turn back around. And you can see how that this was above average, probably 16 in January, 8 in February, 21 in March. Then we go to April 8, May 18, June 16. Now, these are above average. This is the best, plus 15 is the best out of the last three. So I expect it to come back a bit. I didn't expect it to come back as much as it has in July. July's been the worst month that I've experienced in a long time. I've lost so much money. But as I said, it doesn't take away from my confidence because of all of this. This is solid data. This is solid data that will turn around. I will keep putting the work in to getting the factors better, to refining the system, to moving forward, which I always do, whether I'm winning or I'm losing. That's what I do. That's what I do. I wake up, I go to bed late, I wake up, I've been to the gym this morning, I get here, I film this, then I go to work on the factors. I go to work and I'm working another 12 hours just to get better, to continue to deliver. So what my goal is to deliver you guys this. This is this here, which I'm building out for you guys. Analysis is the key to longevity punting, and also understanding where you're at mentally, understanding where you're at financially, and also forecasting what is going to happen. These filters, which I'm building out, I'm hoping to share. My main programmer's away at the moment. He's overseas. He's back in about 4 weeks. I hope to deliver this to you in probably about 2 months. So mid-September, I hope to deliver you this analysis tool. Because what will happen is you'll be able to build out systems through this, the class speed weight ratings, the bullet prices, all this stuff, the cam ratings, the acceleration, the cruising metrics, what days are working better. I'll keep adding to this: provincial, class of race, class of horse, all these different metrics, jockey edge, because there's so many systems within the system that you'll be able to build out. And this will end up being a tool that you guys can use for the rest of your lives. This tool will continue to develop. I'm not going anywhere with this. I'm going to continue to build it and build it out so that it is the best. No one's done this before. No one's ever opened the doors and let you into a professional punter. I've won consecutively for the last 25 years. I'm doing this because the market's getting smaller. I'm betting smaller. I'm still betting big, but I'm betting smaller. I was turning over hundreds of thousands a day. Saturday, I'm still turning over hundreds of thousands, but midweek, it's hard to get on and the prices move so quick. I'm putting my bets on. I'm betting to win 10, 15 grand now, and I'm happy with that. So this isn't affecting my price too much. But what I do think is, if the golden bullets, which they've been going awful, there's no hiding that, the golden bullets, the good roughies, and the backs, my official tips, I do think if they start to take off, then the prices will start to, the bookies will start to reduce them. That's when this official analysis, the analysis tool comes in, and there's systems within the systems that you will build yourself, and you will have your own official tips whereby there's value across the board. Won't be just one system, which are official tips. This will be a system that you will be able to build out, and I'll show you once it's there. I'm really excited about it because I know it's going to be a winning thing to do, as in for what you want to create yourself. Because I can give all this to you, but at the end of the day, You guys are the ones that have to do the work. And lately, if you've got through this week, which I hope you have, if you have, number 5 on my pillars was mentality, and that's I've seen it. I've seen what's happened with some people have disintegrated. Most people have got through it, but some people I can see have mentally from the emails that have come through that mentally, it's got the better of them. And I get it. You get frustrated and you lash out, but you've got to regroup if you want to continue punting. And it's not for everyone. This, as I said, this is just what I'm doing. And maybe, a lot of people are just Saturday punters, which is great as well. But all I'm doing is explaining sort of what I do and the mentality that you need to get through this. You have to be extremely strong minded. You have to be very confident in your own abilities that you are going to win. And you just don't accept defeat. You just keep going, you keep turning up, and you keep grinding ahead, which in the same show a couple of weeks ago I spoke about. I just keep going. I'm just going to keep going. I'll win. There's no doubt that I will end up winning. This month's been horrible, but it might turn around and we might have a week of profits. As I said, I've been doing this for 9,000 days, and I've been through some horrible runs. I've been through some great runs, but you just keep working. You just keep grinding away. Let's have a look at the results. So I'm going to close this up. I'm going to go through this next week. I'm going to add some things in here, and we'll go through this next week. But where we're at the moment, so we launched on the 12th of June. Results are into the 20th of July. So the official tips, which some people back all the official tips, some people don't back all the official tips, and they do their own thing. They use it as a tool. Either way is great. It's just about what you want to do with the information or the tools that I'm giving you to help with your punting. So let's have a look. So golden bullets, good roughies, and backs. This is what I bet off. Since the 12th of June to the 20th of July, there have been 510 bets for 91 winners at a strike rate of 17.8. It's showing a profit from this price, which I've spoken about, is the average price from when the form is released. The average top price from when the form is released, you're winning 1%. I'd take about 3% off that. So I'd be losing for this period about 2% on turnover, which I expect to obviously improve. 17.8% winners. Let's go back and have a look. Overall, it was 19 overall, 19 again. We can have a look here actually. 19, 18, 19, 20. I expect the 17% to obviously increase. I expect this ROI to increase. 1% is not good enough, and it will increase. Trust me, this will go up. When it's going to go up, I don't know. Maybe we're going to have another couple of shit weeks and then it will go up. Let's have a look at what else we've got here to go and analyze. So those were the official tips. Let's have a look at the number one selection. So there's been 510 official tips. My top selection for each race is showing a profit of 7.9%. There's been 797 races. Sorry, 1,797 races, 509 winners, 28% winning percentage. A lot of them are favourites. Yeah, 28%, which equates to about $3.50 in your average price. 7.9%. So the top selections are doing better than what the official tips are. Do I expect that to continue? No, I don't expect. I expected the official tips to be higher than what the number one selections are, but yeah, I've never done selections before, so I'm not really sure how that is going to pan out in the end. But I expect, obviously, which I just said, the official tips to go higher. But that is interesting that there's more of these too. There's 1,797 against 500 and something. So there's 3.5 times more official number one selections than there have been official tips because there's one every race. Let's have a look at selection 2 since we've got it sitting here. And I think it's interesting for people to know exactly what's going on here. So selection 2 is showing a loss of 6.4% off 1,800 bets. Selection 3 is showing a 10% loss, 1,799 bets. And selection 4 is showing a loss of 6.4%. Of 1,600 bets. That's a bit lower because sometimes I don't have a selection 4. So you can see selection 1's winning, and a trap that people get into too much in 2025 is having too many bets. With the way that the market is, with the high percentage market nowadays, you can have too many bets. So back in 20 years ago, I used to back 3, 4 horses a race. Now, there was one on Saturday, I backed 4 horses, but they're all longer out of the market. It's pretty. Usually, I'm just having 1 bet. Sometimes I have 2. I would stick to that. It's a trap that people can get into where they're having too many bets in the race, and their top selection or the biggest overlay is showing them a profit, but then the second and third or saver bets is really dragging back their profit, and they might get back to being a losing punter or a break square punter. So just be aware of that as well. Let's have a look at the lays. So these are the horses that I don't like. So if you backed all the horses that I don't like, this is once again at the same metric as what the price wise, the top selection and the official tips are. There's been 1,369 lays for 173 winners. 12% they have won. If you had have backed them, which we're not doing because we don't like them, you would have lost 14%. So you can see there the difference. Even though the form hasn't been as solid as I would have liked, especially in July and especially in the last 2 weeks, which has been diabolical. You can see there from the 12th of June that there is an edge there. There is an edge to this form, as in lays minus 14%, top selection plus 7%. So it's a 20%, 21% swing off the market. So if you had have backed all horses over this period, if you had have backed all the horses, which we're not going to do at that staking plan of to win $200 with a maximum bet of 100, you would have lost 5%. So the overall percentage is 105%. So you can see the margin there. The horses that TKZ doesn't like are minus 14. The number 1 selection is plus 7. The official tips are plus 1, which I expect to go back up. So you can see that there's an edge there. You can see that we're on the right track. Do we need to get better? Yes, we do. Of course we do. We need to get better whether we're winning. We need to get better whether we're losing. Next week, as I said, I'm going to talk about these advanced filters and different ways to use the information that is there on the TKZ website every day. I think I've gone through everything for what I wanted to today. What I want to finish with is a great interview that I saw with Scotty Scheffler, who's just come out and won the British Open. And he talks a lot in this interview about what it means, like what does winning mean to him? Why is he doing it? Why is he playing golf? And I think about this interview a lot. I've watched it quite a few times, and to me, it's fantastic. I just love his honesty. I love his rawness, and I love sort of that he says there's more to life than golf, and why is he showing up? And when he wins a tournament, it only lasts for a very short period of time. And with a lot of things that I watch, a lot of motivational things that I watch, a lot of interviews that I watch where people are talking about mindset, I put it back to punting. And for me, this was really interesting because we get so caught up in the punting on a Saturday or whenever it may be, and we let our emotions take control. And I mean, I'm guilty as anyone of it. Oh, what a shit ride, and you can really let it get carried away. But what does it all mean in the end? Yeah, why do we want to win so much? And I think that we can all learn from what Scotty says. And he said this on Wednesday, and then he came out and he's nailed the British Open as well, and he's won it as well. So have a listen. Let's hope the results turn around. Stay in the game and stay in the zone. I'll be back again next Monday, hopefully with some positive results. Enjoy your week.
Inspire somebody else to be the best player in the world, because what's the point? This is not a fulfilling life. It's fulfilling from the sense of accomplishment, but it's not fulfilling from a sense of like the deepest, places of your heart. There's a lot of people that make it to what they thought was going to fulfill them in life, and then you get there and all of a sudden you get to number 1 in the world, and then they're like, what's the point? And I really do believe that because, what is the point? You're like, why do I want to win this tournament so bad? That's something that I wrestle with on a daily basis. It's like showing up at the Masters every year. It's like, why do I want to win this golf tournament so badly? Why do I want to win the Open Championship so badly? I don't know. Because if I win, it's going to be awesome for about 2 minutes. And then we're going to get to the next week, and it's going to be like, hey, you won 2 majors this year. How important is it for you to win the FedEx Cup playoffs? And it's just like, we're back here again, So we really do. We work so hard for such little moments. And, I'm kind of a sicko. I love putting in the work. I love being able to practice. I love getting out to live out my dreams. But at the end of the day, sometimes I just don't understand the point, because I don't know if I'm making any sense or not, but am I not? It's just one of those deals. I love the challenge. I love being able to play this game for a living. It's one of the greatest joys of my life, but does it fill the deepest, wants and desires of my heart? Absolutely not. That's why I talk about families being my priority, because it really is. I'm blessed to be able to come out here and play golf, but if my golf ever started affecting my home life or it ever affected the relationship I have with my wife or with my son, that's going to be the last day that I play out here for a living. This is not the be-all, end-all. This is not the most important thing in my life, and that's why I wrestle with why is this so important to me, because, I would much rather be a great father than I would be a great golfer. That at the end of the day, that's what's more important to me. Yeah, I could not care any less about being the favorite or not being the favorite. We all start even par, and tournament starts on Thursday. That's pretty much all that matters. And in terms of links golf, I love the style of golf. I think it's a ton of fun. I think you have to be creative. You have to hit a lot of really good shots, and there's a challenge to it, but I think it's a lot of fun. And we'll see how the weather turns out this week. Weather has a pretty dramatic effect on how the golf course is going to play, and so you can play your practice rounds and prepare, but ultimately, I think when you step on the tee on Thursday, whatever the weather presents is going to be probably the strongest part of the test. It doesn't really change year by year. I don't look at wins and losses or stuff like that. I don't sit down at the beginning of the year and say I want to win X number of times. I want to win this many majors. I want to win this many tour events. That's not something that I do. That's not something that works for me. I have some dreams and aspirations that I'm always striving towards, but at the end of the day, I try to stay present. I try to practice hard each and every day, and I feel like for me, when I start looking too far into the future, I think I'm a bit of a procrastinator. That's how I always was in school, and so if I wanted to look at my career and say I want to win, let's say 5 majors, I think sometimes when you're a human, you just have that invincibility where you're like, I'm just going to play professional golf my whole life. Like, this stage is never going to end, but ultimately it's not, and I'm only going to be doing this for a finite amount of time. And so what works best for me is just to stay present, continue to put in the work, which I would argue is probably the most fun part for me. I love being able to practice, and that's what I enjoy doing, and just trying to get the most out of myself each day. Well, yeah, I think the rankings are being number one in the world is a great accomplishment. I think as a golfer, I think as a professional to be ranked as the best in the world, I think is a huge career accomplishment. I don't think that it should be taken lightly, but you don't become number one in the world by thinking about rankings. You don't stay number one in the world thinking about rankings. Each tournament is its own challenge, and it's funny. It's like look at this week, for example. What's the best case scenario? Is I win this golf tournament, and then I'm going to show up in Memphis, and it's like, okay, listen, you won 2 majors this year. What are you going to do this week? That's the question you're going to get asked. And if I come in second this week, or if I finish dead last, it's no matter what happens, we're always on to the next week. And so that's one of the beautiful things about golf, and it's also one of the frustrating things, because you can have such great accomplishments, but the show goes on, and that's just how it is. It's great to win tournaments. It's a lot of fun. Sometimes the feeling only lasts about 2 minutes, it seems like, when you're celebrating, and then it's like, okay, now you got to go do all this other stuff, and which is great, but sometimes the feeling of winning only lasts a few seconds, and it's pretty exciting and fun, but it just doesn't last that long.
Think, is this a bet you really want to place? For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.